Today's session is Enhancing Your Brand Through Technology. I'm Lisa Brunet, the CEO of DLZP Group, Ren34, and Potato Tech. I will be your moderator today. A little bit about myself. For nearly 30 years, I founded and led companies at the intersection of cloud, AI, and enterprise transformation. I grew DLZP into a trusted AWS partner, serving federal agencies and major brands, built Ren34 into an AI weather prediction solution, and then I built out Potato Tech, which is an AI native software in the hands of businesses for every size. What drives me most to build technology is to level the playing field for all. I'm a passionate advocate for women entrepreneurs and serve in leadership with National Association of Women Business Owners because I believe the next generation of the world-changing brands will be built by founders who's never had a seat at the table before. As I mentioned, I will be your moderator for the next 90 minutes. Brands today are no longer built through what they say. They're built through how intelligently they operate, how personally they connect, and how seamlessly they use technology behind every interaction. Today, we have 3 exceptional women that have built, transformed, and advised some of the world's most recognizable brands. Let me briefly introduce each one of them. The first one, is Debas Rusiti.
Sen.
Sorry. She is the Chief Commercial Officer for Kingfisher PLC, Europe's leading home improvement retailer and parent company of B&Q, Castorama, and Brico Depot. She joined Kingfisher in December of 2025 before working as CEO of HMTX, a global leading flooring company. She brings more than a decade of senior leadership experience from 3M, where she served as president of multiple global divisions, home improvements, consumer safety and well-being, construction and home improvement markets, and abrasive systems, as well as managing director of 3M India, a publicly traded company. Baruki also serves as independent director on boards of OneSource and Nortech System. She brings a rare combination of global P&L, leadership, brand stewardness across Ionic portfolios, and deep experience scaling consumer-facing businesses across the continent. Burçin
Ressamoğlu.
Okay, Burçin, I will stick with Burçin, is a C-suite executive and board director with more than 2 decades of international leadership experience across Europe, Asia, and the UK. She most recently served as CEO of Plexi, UK's formerly Sodexo Benefits and Rewards, from 2018 to 2025. After leading the same brand business in Turkey as CEO. Earlier, she spent 14 years at Philips across Switzerland, Poland, Netherlands, China, and Turkey in senior marketing, product, and country management roles. Today, she serves as a venture partner at Global Scale Ventures in London, board member as Akash Gyro and Diki World Turkish Business Council UK, an advisory board member of Vinter AI recruitment platform, is a founding board member of Regenicos. Burçin is also a passionate advocate for women leadership. Handy is the managing partner of WSI in London and in Turkey, the world's largest digital consulting agency. She is a columnist an AI program advisor for Forbes Turkey, board member in WOB Turkey, technology advisor board member for Periyun, the Turkish Management Association, and advisory board member of the Global Chamber London. Hande has more than 25 years of consulting experience and is a multi-award winning entrepreneur. She recently got the top 50 visionary, top 10 MSN entrepreneur, and GRA awards. Congratulations. She helps business owners and executives embrace digital and AI strategically while staying human with special focus on brand growth through integrated digital strategy. What's exciting about this panel is that each of you approach brand through technology from a different vantage point. Debiki, from running the commercial engine of one of Europe's largest consumer brands, Bhushan from leading digital transformation as a CEO across geographies, and Hande from the strategic digital advisory lens. We're going to dive in now. So we're going to start first with framing the shift. We're going to talk a little bit about enhancing the brand and what it means today. Hande, would you like to start? Should I say this part? Yes. Okay. Hande, you advise companies and brands globally on digital and AI strategy. From where you sit, how has the very definition of brand changed in the AI era? And what does it actually take today to enhance a brand through technology beyond the buzzwords?
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, everyone. Welcome to our panel. It's such an honor to be here with you all today. Thank you for the kind introduction, Lisa. My name is Hande Ocakbaşı, as you all heard. So I'm the WSI Director, WSI London and Turkey Director, and I'm also Vice Chair in WSI Global AI Consulting Business Line. Okay, now it's better. Okay, you just missed the intro. The answer of the question, I think the question was, how does brand change with AI, right? So
yes, beyond buzzwords.
Okay, amazing. Thank you for the question. Amazing question. I think we used to broadcast the brands before, like in the last 20 years. But now what we do, and what we used to do was crafting a message, owning the story, and then broadcasting the message that we want to know. What is changed with AI transformation and how it changed is now all the answers about your brand are given by a machine. And when we look at the numbers, 1 out of 10 customer is searching their product or the services in generative AI now, in all the large language models, and 90% of them do end up with the shopping, which means that the first impression about our brand is not the message that we give from now onwards, from the AI transformation onwards, is the message that a machine synthesizes about your brand and which doesn't necessarily belongs to you. Which leads us to our panel's the main topic, enhancing brand through technology. We used to use technology to enhance our brand to be found. But now, to be found is less important than to be quoted. Because the information that our customers get about our brand is all the information that our previous customers, our vendors, our employees share about us on the internet. So the enhancing the brand through technology story has flipped, which requires us to focus on 3 main things. One is the presence, because if you are absent in the large language models and in AI search, then the customer decodes it as a trust factor, and it means that you are not there. So presence is important. More importantly, the credibility, all the trust factors, all the reviews, all the blogs that we write about our brand, we need to take care of not only our digital assets, but also the other assets that codes our brand. And thirdly, the consistent and machine-readable, coherent brand story. So in a nutshell, I would like to give some more time for the floor for the questions. In a nutshell, I believe the brand itself hasn't changed. The brand, the purpose, the brand story is there, but the messenger has changed. The answer is not given by you anymore, but the answer is given, as I mentioned at the beginning, by a machine who synthesizes everything about the messenger has changed, and we need to adapt our brand story accordingly.
Thank you, Handi. Deba, picking up on Handi's point about strategy, you just stepped into the CCO role at Kingfisher after leading multiple global businesses at 3M, including across India. You've literally been the operator carrying the P&L. When you think about brand through the eyes of someone responsible for commercial outcomes, what role does technology actually play in building brand equity today?
Thank you, Lisa. Great question. I'll pick it off from where Handi left off. There was a question about this brand now. You're discovering the brand through a very human-like interface. Think of the old days of the Marlboro commercial. It was a one-sided communication. The brand told you who the brand is, and then you had to believe it. In many cases, we believed. Maybe in some cases, we didn't because our experience wasn't good. Today, think of it as a conversation. The brand is reinforcing its relationship with us, the consumers. In my world, we serve 6 million consumers every week through our DIY retail stores, through our DIY retail marketplaces, through our DIY retail colleagues. And we are having the richness of the experience that our customers are having. Today, that can be data that we are monetizing into insights. I should know on Saturday morning, the person who is getting up and sitting on their computer or looking at their tablet or looking at their phone or showing up in a store, each one has a different expectation. And how do we serve and bring our brand to life? So there are many elements that technology has touched in the past. Handi talked very clearly about how for brands to win, it's different information and different pieces of data that get elevated. For me, technology has always helped brands have a relationship, a stronger relationship with their consumers, where they want the brand to be known, loved, experienced. I would just speak about insights. For me, that's been most exciting. I spent 30-something years of my career on the manufacturer side, always envying the retailers, because the retailers did the real transaction. They had the real customer experience. Now, being on the other side as a retailer, like a Koçtaş Group, if you're from Turkey, you know there are partners in Turkey. Now I can take all of this incredible rich data, our receipt data, our transaction data, our stars, our ratings and reviews data. We can extract a ton of insight from that. Couldn't have done that in the past. It was a lot of guessing game. It was a lot of, we were talking about a traditional research, focus group. How do those 7 or 12 people give me insight into the 6 million customers that I serve every day? We don't do focus groups anymore. We have such richness of insight that we can unlock. For now, I'll stop at this, as we all talked about. We'll leave more time for questions so we can actually answer your use cases, your questions in your mind. So hand it back to you.
Great job, thank you. Bertrand, Deba just talked about brand from the CCO lens. You sat in the CEO chair through major digital transformation at Paluxy, UK, and Sodexo in Turkey. Before we talk about technology, what are the fundamentals of brand building that have to be in place first? And then when does technology generally enhance a brand build for those fundamentally, and when does it actually damage it?
Thank you, Lisa. I think we listen now very good about the latest technologies or how it has been evolving the brand, how is the impacting, and the data insight for the decision of a consumer or a customer. But the fundamentals, when you look at it, it is still the same. Maybe 30, 40 years ago, we have some 5 Ps, I don't remember that kind of thing. But today, when we look at it, it's still more or less the same. You have to have a strong value proposition. You have to address the pain point of your consumer, of your client, whatever you do. If your fundamentals are strong, which can be a value proposition, which can be differentiated, if you can differentiate your brand, either with your product or the way how you bring it to the market or the experience you are serving, which can engage with your clients and build trust, then you can come to the technology, then you can collect the data, you can look at all the tools in the market, either your websites or a trust pilot, where your consumers are talking or clients are talking about you. Now we know in the past we were paying to the Google just to be listed at the top of the search engine. Today, you can pay anything, but when the AI comes, they will look all around what your clients are saying, how much your product are sold, is it in Amazon 4-star, 5-star? They look everything, and then the answer comes if you are really relevant to your need. So the value prop didn't change. The only thing what is changing is, of course, the communication. The visibility is so fast. And if you understand how to use them, then you can make a big, big impact. That is inevitable. However, it is also dangerous. Because in the past, we make one campaign, there was a mistake, we pull back the campaign, 2-3 days, then everybody forgets. Today, if you make a mistake, it is everywhere. Everybody talks. Today, Lisa was telling us about a Korean case in Starbucks. Then I look at it, I saw so many things. I didn't hear it, but when I look at it, I saw it. You know, there is no limit to stop the communication. So whatever we start, whatever the technology we will get used, we have to first fix the fundamentals and then use the right tools on the right way. And the community is, I think, also important, but it is not you have 100,000 followers, maybe you have 1,000, but they are really engaged, their comments, their preferences are positive. I think this is the key, and we have to be really mindful how we are building these fundamentals, especially during this technology is really boosting.
Thank you. Deba, at both 3M and now Kingfisher, you've worked with some of the world's most recognizable brands that include Command, Scotch-Brite, and B&Q. How is technology changing the actual relationship between these brands and end customers? Also, what's working and what's still mostly theory?
What's working? Maybe I'll keep that for a little bit later, but let me talk about, maybe pick up from where Burchin was talking about, be very clear about what your brand stands for. If you don't, you'll be chasing the shiny stars in the technology landscape. You'll make a whole bunch of investments and you'll come out of it not knowing why did you do that, what did it yield. So for me, everything starts with very clear value proposition that helps you then go to who's my customer. And the biggest change that I've seen in my now many decades, I'm old, many decades of experience with consumers, with brands, is that we now have the ability through technology to finely point at each one of you differently. Just because you're sitting in this one room doesn't mean you're like anything like each other. You consume the same data, you consume the same information, you have the same needs. We now, through MarTech, have the ability to point what we want that relationship to look like. Brand is, after all, just a relationship. Like a relationship I have with my son. I have a relationship with Starbucks or not. I have a relationship with Forrester or not. I have a relationship with Google or not. They're all brands that I consume in my life in a different way. What I have found most exciting is understanding then, once you've got your value proposition, you know your brand, you know your customer, you've got your value proposition very clearly articulated, is invest in data. That is fundamental. That hasn't changed. That's always good investment. For those who are early in their journey, please make sure you are spending, I'm in a physical world, but service is the same. Even in a service world, please make sure that you're understanding what your consumer and customer is looking for in terms of value. That value should be articulated and captured in your data. Invest in your data, and then it's like garbage in, garbage out, or good things in, good things out. That's always, for me, the fundamental question that we ask. Most recently, our company announced a multi-year partnership with Google for agentic commerce. That required us to take a look at, are we ready in the old search world versus the new agentic commerce world? And what's really exciting for us is we think our brand can shine even more in an agentic world, because it's not what word am I looking for. I had some recent example where a barbecue, if you search for an egg-shaped barbecue versus a ceramic barbecue, you had very different results. In an agentic search world, it's a conversation. You can say, I don't know what I'm looking for, but maybe it looks like this color, this shape, and the agent is able to give you the kinds of answers, the kinds of things that people are looking for, what's working, what's not working, where there are good reviews, where there are no good reviews, comparisons. All of that is like a human-to-human conversation. Call my mom or call my cousin who has a new car. Hey, I'm looking for cars. What would it look like? That's the power of new technology, of bringing brands to life in a more human way. So everyone's concerned about AI. What does it require? What does it not require? For me, it's humanizing the transaction. It's therefore look at the brand value proposition and your data. Are you ready to be human is my question. Not are you ready to be artificially intelligent? Are you ready to be human?
That's great. I love the how you did the analogy and how you shared how you can use a chat to think about it as human. That's something that I'm sure most of us do not think about when we're organizing our marketing plans. So you did mention that you wanted to talk a little bit about theory later.
Yes.
Can you give us a little snippet?
Yeah, maybe. I think it's about organizationally looking at, are we chasing the shiny objects? That's probably where, we as a large company, we're always getting people who are coming and presenting to us, here's this new tool, new this, new that. I bring it down to the fundamentals. Are we ready to be human? Strangely enough, that takes me to the data lake. Takes me to access to my receipt and transaction data. It takes me to is my product information, my packaging information, sustainability information, consumer ratings and reviews. Is that all structured in a way that I can serve it up? Or is it the old style of serving our consumers? So I think it's looking beyond the theory. It's really looking into what is the problem we're trying to solve. In our case, in home improvement, I'll give you an example. It's stressful. None of us like painting our houses. None of us like fixing a shed in our garden. So the stress reduction is from ease of use. So video data doesn't really, lift itself up very well. And yet, if we can give very easy answers to how to fix an AC, that will serve itself and help our consumer experience. So we try to keep it as practical, as real. And I always go back to this, are we human? Are we talking to our consumers in a human way? A mother explaining to a child, a father explaining to a son, a cousin explaining to me because they've just had some commerce or transaction or purchase that's made them happy. So keep it in the basic level. Don't get too confused with new technology. Don't get too attracted to the shiny stars. Just keep it real and keep it very, very human.
I love that because I feel nowadays we are too much involved with technology where we forget that human interaction is required. Now, Handy, going on to Deb's talking about brands and reaching customers at scale. And your tagline at WSI is embrace digital, stay human. In an era of AI-driven personalization, how can leaders ensure that technology strengthens rather than weakens authentic customer relationships?
Thank you very much. We say embrace digital, stay human, as you said, and I think all the world is, especially in the marketing teams, we are very much intrigued about the hyper-personalization. And I just would like us to focus on this subject, the hyper-personalization issue, with weighing the two sides. On one side, We have all the numbers showing us that we need to use this capability, that muscle that AI will bring us, hyper-personalization, because yes, with hyper-personalization, we can increase the marketing revenue, the campaign revenue by 50%, even decrease the customer acquisition cost by 5 to 15%. The ROI, marketing ROI increases. And when I look at the consumer side, 70% of the customers, they want personalized messages, and even 76% of them get frustrated if they won't get personalized messages from you, tying up with what you said, Deba, about staying human. But when you flip the coin, the other side tells us the people that are consumers, yes, they want to get hyper-personalized messages and they want to be known, but 62% of the customers are a bit frustrated because they feel that they are watched. So there is a fine line between the hyper-personalization and the watching them, surveillance. Actually, if you do the permission, if you do the personalization without permission, then what you are really doing is actually you have a surveillance with a friendly interface. So that's why Embrace Digital Stay Human is very important for us, and we layer down that in 3 layers. The first one is permission. So we need to get the permission of the customer. We need to let them know how we use their data, in which ways, because all the rules and regulations, they all will tell us what not to do. But in what to do side, we all have options. Yes, we can't share customer data with the third parties, but will you use your customer data without their permission for a campaign or not? So these are all ethical choices that we need to do. So first is permission. The second one is, yes, we can automate many processes in marketing, but there are still some touch points which requires the heartbeat, a complaint, an issue that you will delegate. So that's why pointing out and finding and determining the right processes to automate, the right processes to elevate with AI, and the processes, although AI can do, not letting AI to do it, and this is the wise decision. This is the decision that will make a company better than their competitor, because AI models, the agents and everything will be like Excel soon in 5 years. What makes the difference is how you use that Excel. One can just write a calculation, one can build a model, one can use human resource and AI together. But these are all options that we wise decision makers can take. So in a nutshell, I think, yes, hyper-personalization, using technology and all the other tactics are very important, but hyper-personalization or personalization or using AI for marketing and for communication is at scale. But intimacy is still a craft, a very foundational human craft. That's intimacy and that intimate relationship, genuine relationship with the customer. And if you have this built by a human, and if you scale this by AI, then you are building a machine which is human and AI.
Okay, thank you so much for that answer. So as you mentioned, you're using AI, but you're also validating with a human. When do you know that you need to validate by a human, and how do you go about doing that? Do you use a focus group? Is it your team? How is that validated?
Mm-hmm. There are 2 methodologies actually. One is starting with the process. The main thing is actually you need to start with the organization actually when I step back. We need to start with the organization to understand, even if you have one person, even if you are self-employed. So if anybody is using a new tool, the behavior changes. You don't need to have like consultants specific, all the tables and checklists that the consultants use, but ask one question. If Burçin will use a new tool, how will her behavior change? And is she ready? Is she afraid of this iPad? And if that's the case, then the project will not succeed anyway. So the main thing is not to start with technology, starting with human organization. Governance is another topic, another layer. Governance doesn't mean that, I mean, you need to have, again, 80 checklist criteria set, but at least know what does this model, who owns this model, what will you do if the model gets it wrong, and can you explain what the model does in a plain language? And then you can either start with the problem or you can detail the process. The main thing is finding the decision, not the process for automation. If you find a decision to elevate with AI, then if you won't say, okay, I'll use AI for customer analysis, but this is very vague. I use AI for reporting, very vague. But if you say, I will use AI to decrease the churn in X customer portfolio and X customer persona, then what you require as data is clear. The technology that you will select will also be clear. So I think the main thing is not starting with technology like all companies do globally. That's why 95% of the AI projects are failing. Starting with the right problem, choosing the right problem, not using the consultants for that. You all know your business better than us. Finding the problem, then making sure of the organizational and governance readiness by simple criteria set, and then proceeding with the technology selection. And please not keep yourself busy with learning LLMs, ChatGPTs, Perplexity. These are just, we haven't learned the business from ERPs or CRMs or Excels, right? So we first decided what to do, and then we moved to the tool side. So that could be my long answer for your short question.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, and I love the fact that you validate that humans come first. If we want to relate to a human has to be the foundation before we use any AI or technology. I love your whole process. I'm sure that's why your company is so successful, is because you have a process nailed down, while so many companies, I'm sure a lot of us, I know I do, I struggle with marketing. So that's perfect.
Thank you.
Now, Bertrand, we've been talking about the customer, but you built your career on the truth that the brand is also experienced from the inside. How does technology that enhances the employee experience translate directly into a stronger brand for the customer?
Thank you, Lisa. So I have been working in Sodexo or Pluxee around 14 years. And Sodexo is one of the biggest French employer with 400,000 people. So why I am telling you this, I will come back. So I have been assigned to a mission in UK in 2018 when Sodexo acquired a local digital benefit company in UK, while we used to have a small benefits company, but it was a big one. So I had the mission to merge them. So I went there was a chaos. Everybody was thinking my product is good, the other party is thinking, so there was a big chaos between the two employees among two companies. So that was one of the good takeaways. I learned in a hard way, but I learned it. So client is always the one who decides. But if your employees do not believe in the product they are developing, they are selling, they are delivering, you cannot convince your client. So what we tried to do after some lessons, we really took a big group to work with the product team, to streamline the product, to really understand what is the need. And experienced by our employees, which is 400,000, of course we didn't do 400, but many of the people, to validate what is the right product, then go to the market and really showcase our employee experiences to our clients. That was our narrative, that was our story, because the employees of Sodexo were very happy with the product, and that was our narrative how to go there. However, after you do this, you have to be careful, because then you start to use the technology. We used Agile, we used new CRM tools, BI analytics, all kinds of things to measure, to see the impact, and to communicate. But if your employees are not capable, if you didn't invest in them, nothing happens. You cannot bring experts or consultants forever. You have to invest like you are investing in your product to the capabilities of your organization. You have to upskill them to use the right tools, to make the right decision, to analyze the data in the right way, to come to the right decisions and to make it work. So what we have achieved in UK, really building it with our own employees. Yes, we hired few new people with new perspectives, but we invest a lot to improve the capabilities of our employees to make sure they are capable to go to the market, to use the technology, to use the social media, and make us visible. If you are not visible, you can have the best product. It doesn't make any sense. You should be visible in LinkedIn, in all kinds of social media, and it is not only your company or your product. As a leader, you should take the flag and be visible as a leader of that company and make sure you are aligned with your brand. You are aligned as a leader to deliver this product to your clients. So I don't believe brand of a company and leader is separate things, but I believe they go in hand, and you have to make it visible. Whatever the product is, if it's not visible, it will never, in this new environment, it will never be succeeding.
I think maybe I'll just add one comment because you touched on such an important thing. In the world of where we are now, AI and agentic commerce, brands have to be more higher integrity than ever before, and people, individuals, especially leaders, have to be higher integrity than they've ever been before. It naturally allows for us, and you especially, and many of your entrepreneurs, to put yourself out there in a very intentional, consistent, and open, honest way. And that's something that the four of us were discussing. It's really critical to take this as an opportunity, not be daunted by it, but put yourself out there because you are as much a part of your brand, as much a part of your company, whether you're an entrepreneur in your case or a corporate leader in my case. We can have such an important impact on our customers, on our consumers to understand who our brands are, who we are. This integrated relationship comes to life much more authentically in today's day and world.
Thank you. Thank you, both of you, for talking a little bit about personal brand. Can you guys share your thoughts about having a personal brand and a professional brand? What are the difference and how should they be used? I know this is a little bit off the topic, but I'd love your input on that. And then also, you talked about how your personal brand reflects on the company. How do you make sure that your brand is tied to the company to make sure it has the same moral values?
So I have maybe I can tell a little bit my experience about this. I believe this goes together. I don't think I am a brand and I go and I change the new company fully. That is, first of all, I've worked always with the brands where I have the same values. That is how I have been also in my career growing. That is also important. And when you start, especially social media, you should be consistent. If you are telling a message with a strong assumption, and then you behave totally differently in your private life, that doesn't work, Nobody believes in you, neither to your brand nor to you. There is a trust issue. So the brand goes together. It needs to be consistent. Of course, I have social media, and I don't have several accounts. I have only one account. But time to time, I put my family posts as well, which are linked with my values, which are also linked with my company values. So this cannot be separated. Now in 2025, I quit from Sodexo after 14 years. I worked in Turkey. I worked in UK. Today, I didn't go to any opportunity, They come to me. They said, hey, you have been doing this. We know this. You have a good success in your company at that. Can you help us for that? This is how you build your brand, If you keep failing, failing is not a problem. But if you keep failing and you have no success story, then the company or your brand will not mean anything. So I believe they should go together. But there is one important thing. We all run businesses. We all run for the bottom line at the end of the day. It's a lot of operations, but it requires time. You have to invest your time for building, enhancing the brand you work for, the brand you are, and for your values. That is the critical element for this, from my perspective.
I may add something from our experience in Think Neuro, because one of the companies that I invested and founded is in neuro consulting called Think Neuro. And we do work on the company's brand profiles and also the leader's profile. And what we do is actually, when I hear your story, it's very lucky that you already choose the companies which are in line with your values and with your personality. But when we are running or helping companies, they have different personality, meaning the company has some values and brand characteristics. And the leaders are changing, and we don't necessarily can find the homogeneous the leader who has the same characteristics with the company. Then we used to use, and we still use it, research, so in which we can understand which brand characteristics are best presented by the company, and which are, or another spokesperson, and which the leader. So that you can sum up, you can have the right person to talk about the right thing. If your brand is dynamic, but if your leader is very old-fashioned, then you will create just a frustration if you say that that leader will communicate that we are dynamic, or vice versa. So that's why knowing where you stand as a person, in Burçin's case, or as a company, understanding the best communication method and the genuine communication, actually, I think are the keys for the straightforward and honest brand communication.
I'll probably add a perspective for me as a corporate leader and also as a board member. I think it's incredibly important for the company's brand to be consistent with its leaders. Many of us remember Me Too. What happened during that time was the societal dissonance with what they thought a certain company or that company's brand to be, and what the leader of that same company turned out to be. That sort of dissonance in a highly connected, societally conscious world that we are now living in is not going to be acceptable. Good news is that if you're an entrepreneur, you are the brand of your company. You created it because it matched your values. You believe in the purpose. As a corporate leader on the other side, I'm very proud to say I will never work in a company that is not consonant with my own values and therefore my purpose. Better homes, better lives for everyone is the purpose of Kingfisher. I work there. 3M Science Applied to Life was the company where I spent 26 years. It has to mean something, and I have to get up in the morning, and in everything that I do, my social presence, my digital presence, otherwise, my physical presence has to be consonant. I understand in a consultant world it's a little more difficult, but as a board member, as a corporate leader, as an entrepreneur, you are your brand. And you have to remember that, and you have to live it. At the end of the day, be authentic. Don't be afraid to be authentic. I think Burçin touched on it. You know, she's a mother, I'm a mother. I also put my personal, my daughter-in-law, who I call daughter-in-love. That's a term I learned from another leader, and I use it all the time. I'm happy to put that out there. I'm not apologetic that I'm a mother-in-love or mother-in-law. That's a special sauce that defines me, that makes me become human in the eyes of my employees, in the eyes of my colleagues in the store. It's special. What makes you special is just as important as what makes your company and your brand special. So don't hesitate. We always say that be careful and intentional, but you don't have to be this other person from your personal brand is completely different versus your life. Build it, be intentional, be brave, and just be authentic.
Thank you so much for working with me in the transition. I threw that at you last minute, but let's go back to the execution risk and what actually works for brand. Bershwin, you've led digital transformation as CEO in two very different markets, Turkey and the UK, without naming names. What's a moment where technology generally elevated the brand under your leadership? And controversially, where did you have to step back and say, this isn't ready?
Again, my stories. I think there was a very good example in Turkey when I started in Sodexo, which is a benefit services company and became digital after 2013-14. And before that, I only worked for Philips Electronics, which is a consumer electronic company mostly. And there were totally different businesses. I took over in 2012. Maybe some of you have also in your countries. The employer was giving us meal vouchers that we can have lunch at noon. So this is a benefit which is in most of the European companies, also in Turkey, also in Asian companies, I think in India as well, in some other LATAM companies. So when I started in 2012, we were printing 55 million voucher papers every month to send to the employees of our clients. And there were 4 or 5 companies like that, us. So you can imagine how many papers we were printing. And then we moved to cards, meal cards. And in 2012, it was around 10 to 15% of our business. In 2015, it was 92%. Cards. So the voucher dropped down below 1 million. So it's not only sustainability topics. And at that time, as boards, we didn't have sustainability topic yet to take care of. It was a cost efficiency for all the stakeholders. And more importantly, for the employees, it was a big flexibility. You don't carry the whole vouchers in your pocket. It was very easy for the restaurants to accept it, big savings for the restaurants, and big savings for the employees with loyalty programs and all kinds of bonuses, you know, in the payment systems. So it was a big, big breakthrough. And this was not introduced as a technology. We said we are moving from voucher to card just to make your life easier. That was our narrative. Like Apple did, you know, user experience, it was really a big change. However, to support this, we have to have a big ERP system. There are so many data, you know, in the vouchers, you send the vouchers, they come back, you again fill it. Nowadays, they were transactions. But we have local ERPs at that time, which were developed by our teams. And those transactions were really not easy to process, to analyze, etc. And the global was pushing me, Burçin, you have to introduce the global ERP system, either SAP or I don't remember which one they were forcing me. I said, no, we have to focus to the clients now. They need, our cards are working. If the card is not working one day, we used to have around 1 million users every day. The users cannot eat lunch. This is a big problem in Turkey. We have to eat at lunch, you know. This is no way out. So I said, no way, I cannot put my team to the ERP system. They have to make sure the cards are working. But 1 year later, I found out it was a big mistake because we were not able to really process the data properly. There was a lot of fraud risks, etc. And I didn't see this coming up, you know. I didn't really focus enough what will be the next steps with the technology. And this big transactional data for us was not easy to manage with our existing local tools. So I had my learning. We find different tools and different ways. But so when you start with a transformation, it is not only one thing transformation. You have to think end to end because everything is built on the fundamentals. And if you do not manage the infrastructure well, you can easily fail. So that is one of my good examples from my experience, actually.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. So one thing that you did mention, which I think is interesting, earlier you talked about making the employees happy, where you were buying them lunch and, well, the vouchers. So because that goes to happy employees, make happy customers, and I really like that concept because not everybody does think about that. So that was really interesting how that all ties together. But talking about some of the stuff that isn't ready, how can you expand on that a little bit more for us?
I'm not clear with the question. Can you ask me your question again?
Okay, like if you had to step back from, you were going to launch something, but how do you determine if it's not ready, this marketing campaign or something?
Yeah, I think it is, you see it on the journey, to be honest. You see the opportunity, the digitalization of the voucher is coming, and you jump on it, and you put all your resources into it, and it is the client-facing. That is also because at the back end, with ERPs and so, the client is not feeling it at the beginning. So that's why on the journey, when we start seeing more risks, or some complaints, or there were client integration needs, for example, which we were not able with our infrastructure to do this. We couldn't integrate with the big clients. So then we have to step back and say, hey guys, now we have to make our roadmap accordingly, put new teams for that, or more resources, just to make sure we take the right steps on the right time.
Thank you for that. Thank you for explaining that because I don't think all of us know when to say no, let's cut our losses. So Deba, Bertrand just spoke about judgment calls at the CEO level. You've led divisions with thousands of people across the US and Europe. What separates a technology investment that generally strengthens a global brand from one that just adds complexity? What discipline is behind that? And what have you been challenged in change management?
I was just thinking as Bertrand was talking, how many of you, if any, have gone through an SAP transition? Oh my gosh. Do you have the same sort of anxiety attack I get when I think about, yes. So after all these years, where my approach has evolved is do not try to do one big technology transformation. I will probably run away to Bali if anybody asks, or some other fun place, Madagascar, if somebody asks me to do another large ERP transition. How I think about it now is agility and flexibility, iteration. Bertrand touched upon a lot of these concepts. I am not looking for perfection. If anyone promises you perfection, it'll solve all your customers' problems. It'll solve your customer service problems, your manufacturing problems. Please don't believe it. Give me a call. I'll share my number with you and I'll talk to them. Think about MVP, which if you're exposed to agile terms, it's really looking at maximizing the work that you don't need to do. What is good enough? Start with a good enough, iterate and build upon it. This is a very different way of thinking versus in the 90s when I went to business school, what I was taught to do. Deconstruct the problem that you're trying to solve. Go after the most important with the least amount of resources. And you'd be amazed at how good your return on investment looks like. Keep it conversational, keep it real, stay connected with your customers, stay connected with your employees, and you'll be able to iterate and make it better at a fraction of the cost versus large transformation. So even though I work in a company that employs 76,000 people, I worked in a company prior to that that employed 120,000 people, I will never, ever go for a large transformation project in technology. I will need a drink now.
Thank you. Thank you for that analogy. I think that does put it into perspective for many business owners because it's something that we don't think about. We don't look at it that way. We just think, okay, it's marketing.
Yeah, no.
Okay. So, Handi, you've worked with 400 plus clients across the world, and your team is now advising in AI adoption. What separates the brand that successfully turned AI into a brand asset from the ones that just spend money on tools they've never operationalized? And what's the playbook for the rest?
Actually, in your previous follow-up question, I think I answered the main methodology, but just to emphasize, the main starting point is the problem, not the technology. Again, just to summarize what I said previously. Because, again, we all start with meeting with vendors just to have an idea or trying to understand what our competitors are doing so that we can also implement the same. But the main issue here is, dear audience, the main issue is AI is not like the general intelligence that we are used to. I mean human intelligence. What I mean by that is we won't expect philosophy professor or physics professor not to understand the explanation of an address, right? If one of us will come here and I will say, okay, you turn right from here and then left. We have a common intelligence level. So if you are good at something, then you can also do other things. You know, if you are best at something, you can do other things better at or good at. But with AI, it doesn't work like that. So we call it as staggered frontier, meaning, and let me give you a practical example, the new algorithm, the DeepThink model, has won the mathematics Olympiads, right, as we all know. And the same model can read the analog watch with 50% of accuracy. So it won the Olympiads, but it can't read the analog. So the thing is, the main wisdom is finding out, first starting not with the technology, but starting with the problem and selecting it. If you have a consultant, and if you hire a consultant to analyze all your marketing processes or whatever other processes in this context, let's say marketing, then you are just wasting time. Because we don't have that luxury. In none of the countries, the economy is well enough to give you the breadth to have this old-fashioned or traditional like business process, re-engineering process. It's the wisdom of the leader, it's the wisdom of the person, the C-level leader or the board to understand and, okay, let's start with this because these are our problems. Because there is no AI problem. We have regular problems, and some of them are solvable by AI. So finding out the right pain point, and then starting with the pain point, building this governance system, at least knowing who this agent reports to. I mean, how can I explain it in human language, not with algorithm? How can I, they will make mistake, and they do. I mean, the model accuracy, like 68% of accuracy means that model is delivering you the right answer only 68 out of 100 times. And the others will be wrong, as we all humans do. Then you need to have a backup plan. So AI being capable of many things, like every day we read all these articles and stuff, doesn't mean that AI can solve your problems. AI having solved a problem in your competitor in the same function doesn't mean that it will solve your problem, because in all our companies, we all know that we have our unique, authentic styles of problems. We all have problems, but this can't be solved with the same answer, and AI is the same. So that's why I think we are exaggerating AI a lot. And we want the hope to be called as AI, and AI will come and solve everything, but no. I mean, we need to find the right problem to use it in our marketing process, to use AI efficient in our marketing processes, then eliminate and clean the process. If you are just using AI to accelerate the process, which shouldn't be there anyway, then actually you are just using expensive compute for a broken process. So that's why finding the right problem, making sure that the organization knows AI, and it's not prompt engineering trainings, please. Then it is killing, it kills really what makes us human. If we teach our employees or if we teach ourselves how to write the best prompt to get the best answer, then I mean, we can't talk about critical thinking anymore. Just being practical for the organization as well. If you need 5 answers, please ask 20 answers and select 5. Just to use. If you make any automatic decisions, anything that comes to you on your desk and you don't think because we don't have time, imagine that you are only doing that in a day. What will be the question that you would ask? Strengthening the organization with the critical thinking, creativity, and trust, finding the right problem, and the governance are the key to use AI to strengthen the brand.
I love that. I love the idea of using critical thinking. I mean, it's taught to our kids in school, but I think over time we do forget about that. And I love the fact of saying, if you want 5 questions answered, ask 20. That's the same concept of asking the 5 whys over and over again until you get someone to think deeper. So before I do closing reflection, I want to leave time for Q&A. So I wanted to see if anyone in the audience had any questions for our members.
If I may start with the question, it's mainly for Sodexo, but for the other speakers as well. Maybe you consider your customers initially were the companies who were using the vouchers for food, for lunch. Did you? First part of the question is: did you consider the restaurants as well your customers or your suppliers? Because depending on that, my second part of the question is, have you used the information about the use of the card or the vouchers to help the restaurants enhance their brands so that they could attract more users for your card or your vouchers? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. It's good for me to clarify as well. So when we started to streamline our product range and to develop new products in UK during this post-merger integration, yes, we started with our employees who were working with the product team to give feedback, then to test it. But when we have the MVP products, we always go to the clients. You choose different clients from different client segments. You make some validations or POCs, we test it, we make sure that it is a proof point. And then we start launching. Even the launch is step by step. We launch the beta version, we get the feedbacks. And when you have a digital product launch, the journey is always to improve. So you have to continuously get the feedback of the users, either your clients or their consumers, and you have to build this on. We tried to do this to build the right product for our clients for different segments and use the right channels to deliver them to the market.
Sorry, but my real question was, are you using the data you obtain from the use of your product, of your card, to help and enhance the brand of the restaurants?
Yes. The answer is straight yes. Okay. The feedback, I said, the data we collect, they get analyzed, and then we use it back to enhance the product or the brand or the specific function, whatever it gives us as a feedback.
Thank you.
There's some similarities in our world too, because think of a home improvement project. You would probably have a clear vision of what you want, and then you want to hire a contractor, and then the contractor does the job. You get rich insights from the end user, the house owner. You also get insights from what the contractor liked and not liked. Sometimes the contractor changes the homeowner's mind. We are capturing this sort of very rich information that in the past we may or may not have been able to convert into insight at scale for our companies. And now we're able to do that. Not only that, we can capture that information and now share it back with our vendor partners, the folks who are making the tools the combi drills or whatever that may be. So I think goes back to the 5 whys, goes back to the critical thinking piece of it. It's really going underneath what's visible to what the real issue is, and then keeping our approach as simple as possible to solve it, and then iterate and improve upon it. More questions?
Hello, hi. Hi, I'm Sudesh. I'm the founder of 437 Change Management Consulting, and I'm here from Sydney, Australia. I took 20-hour flight. I know a lot of you are going to ask me. It was a good flight without kids, to be honest. My question is around startup on a services base. We were talking about building brand on B2C, which is more product-based. When a startup service is more around your human connections or your expertise that you have to offer, which means that how do we use technology to build that brand which feels both credible as well as human? Because I don't have a product to show. It's only me and my services. So what do we do?
I can maybe spend like this. And then you, Lisa. I think the main, again, starting point, I know I repeat myself, but I can't emphasize enough, the main starting point is really not technology, because if you wait the technology will just scale your voice, as Burchid also said, that the technology will just help you to create some visuals. The technology will help you to create some synthetic content. But if we lack the authenticity, if we lack the brand, if we lack the product itself, the pain point that Burchid said, I mean, everything that we try to mention here, then the technology will scale it up and make it, help for you to make the communication in a faster way, but to whom, for what, these will be all question marks. I think we are in a big nightmare now, especially coming from the US and also China, by the startups saying that we don't have any humans, they'll just use agents. Those people doesn't know how to manage a company. The person who will claim that I am self-employed and you know what, I don't have any people here, I use AI, I build my agent for digital marketing, I have my agent for, let's say, accounting and human resources, it just shows that they don't know the process. Because if you don't know something, if you think that actually, finance is just reporting, then yes, AI can create a report. But if you know what finance is really, then you will be very careful to delegate it to an agent. So I'm not saying that technology won't help, but what I'm trying to say is, especially for the startups, because you are starting from scratch, imagine that you don't have any reach to any technology. Let's first, use your judgment and just decide on what to do and what the critical points are and what the products. For sure, you can use AI for market research. Definitely, you can use AI to communicate what you have as a human and authentically decided. But don't start with technology. So that would be my humble advice.
So I'll share a little bit how I did it, and I don't know if my approach is right, but it seems to get everybody to understand what I'm doing. So I tell customers, well, we're building a whole ERP SaaS solution. But what it is, I say, think of if HubSpot, Salesforce, and QuickBooks had a baby, that's our solution. So most people that have a business and a small business, they understand that. They understand what those mean. And they're like, wait, I can have one solution that does everything? And it makes them think. So that's kind of how I did it. I just took the basics versus thinking too big or using AI to kind of give me this answer that's like 500 words and you have to figure out how to say that in 30 seconds.
Fantastic advice. Thank you so much. And Deba, I agree. I'll come to Bali or wherever you're going for another SAP if I have to implement that.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Amisha Jadalwadi. I'm with House of Vivi from the United States. And thank you so much for the session. It's been very informative. I had a question for all of you. What do you think entrepreneurs should stop doing online that could harm their brand, that could weaken their brand?
Sorry, Would you mind repeating your question again?
What should entrepreneurs stop doing online that could weaken their brand?
Stop doing.
What should entrepreneurs stop doing online that's hurting the brand?
Entrepreneurs. Okay. We're getting our thoughts together. I think that question is wonderful. I think from my perspective, this is just, I'm not an entrepreneur, so take it for what it is. I'm speaking as a corporate leader. Don't try to do too much. Be very intentional, less is more. And I'm very intentional online on what I do. And Saturday and Sundays are days when I am visible on my non-work emails and my social media. I'm very intentional. What happened this week? What are the messages worth elevating? How do they bring my brand, my company, my team to life? I do it on Saturday and Sundays because there's less clutter. I'm not as pulled into meetings. I'm very intentional about what I'm going to talk about. If I were an entrepreneur, I would probably still do the same to be very into it with intention versus just doing, I don't accept people's invites that come on LinkedIn unless I know why. And I try to do all of those things on the weekend because my brain is much more uncluttered.
And coming from, because WSI has started its operations as digital marketers, so let me just bring that expertise in. What I would humbly recommend is, first of all, about the platforms. If you don't have enough budget, then there is no need for you to have a lower visibility on Google, on other tools. So let's do the email marketing instead. I mean, finding the right tactic for the right position, that blend is very important. And if you just work with a vendor who just do Facebook marketing, no matter what your pain point is, they will do Facebook marketing. If you are meeting with a vendor who does app, then they will tell you that app development is very important. You yourself will decide on the best blend of marketing tactics. In terms of the communication and in terms of the visibility, we all said that now the problem is not being on the blue links, but the search engine result pages, but being on the large language models. And I know that there are many agents around saying that, we will help you for you to be visible on the large language models, whether it's ChatGPT or cloud. That's a big lie. There is no methodology, there is no algorithm, nothing that can make you visible on the large language models. GEO is a big lie. Don't spend time and money on that, because the large language models, the main logic behind them is for them to give you hyper-personalized answers, even not the right answer. Just to speak, just to spend more time with you. So that's why let's focus on the right tactics and don't use AI content to be visible everywhere. Post just your sentences in 2-3 platforms and be genuine.
So this will be the last question because I do want to give our panelists time to give closing remarks. Would you like to go?
Sure. Hi, my name is Sandra D'Souza, and I'm the CEO and founder of Elect. Our focus is increasing women's representation in leadership and board roles. So I'm actually quite active with digital marketing, but I've noticed a couple of trends lately. So I understand the algorithm. At the start of last year, with Facebook ads, anything to do with women empowerment, it just does not track well. The metrics have significantly dropped. And LinkedIn, obviously they updated their algorithm November last year, and anything when I tag to do with women, leadership women, gender equality, it has significantly dropped in impressions and things like that. And there is obviously discussions about the AI bias towards women and women's profile. So I guess, any tips, any ideas, anything that you think could help me enhance that images and with the algorithm, or is there a workaround that to help me navigate this?
I think it was one of my closing reflections, but you asked this question. I will give your answer, but before I want to give some information. Today, Stanford University published in, I think it was in April, the AI index. I don't know how many of you saw this. There was a really one very disappointing data. It says only 22% is representing women in AI talents. So we have only, out of AI talents, only 22% women. And the other data is only 40% of the AI leadership is women. So what does it mean? Today, whatever is going on, whatever we are building with this, all the algorithms, all the decisions are going to be decided 80% or more than 80% by men. I think that is the main topic to change this algorithm. As women, we have to be more into this, not only using it, also taking the decisions on AI evolution. And I am 57 years old, and when I started my career 35 years ago, there was only one desktop in our office, 4 of us were using. Today, I have 2 daughters, everything, I am close to the retirement, but I have been developing myself to catch up. It's not only AI. 4 years ago, I go to the Cambridge University while I was working to learn about sustainability. I have always mentors, reverse mentors, to understand from the young generation what's going on. Recently, I have also AI for business strategy from WSI. Then I went to the Imperial Universities for. Why I'm telling you, I will never be an expert in AI, but I know what to ask, how to look at it, where the critical decisions are, and I give my opinion before the decisions are taken. I am asking for call and action that all women in this room or in our environment should have some understanding. We should be open for developing ourselves. There is no time to stop learning. We have to learn not to build all the AI platforms, but at least to understand what is going on and to be able to take some decisions to eliminate this bias in the algorithms. This is my really biggest dream, that this woman in AI will be much, much stronger, not only as users, as a decision makers.
Can I just say that's what we're working on, actually. So we're soon to launch a AI governance certification practitioner program, or practitioner certification, to ask the questions, to eliminate bias, and to make sure that leaders, executives, board members are aware of the framework, what the team internally are building.
Thank you for doing this, because we have to take the action.
Exactly.
We should not expect others to take action.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Perfect. And just to emphasize your point, the thing is with AI, the scale, every bias is so easily scalable. With the human beings, I mean, what I think is maybe 1,000 bytes, what I say is 100 bytes, and what you hear is 10. But these AI tools, these AI agents, they share the data in seconds in terabytes of amount. So which means that all the bias about the woman and the gender equality and everything will be scaled so quickly if we don't take an action. And about the algorithms, about all the arguments about if AI is the bad guy, or so can we trust AI? Can we exist with AI? I mean, my call to action, then maybe we are doing organically the last round. My call to action would be, I totally agree with Burçin. Please don't try to learn the tools. Try to learn what AI is and what AI is not. And there are many, free, but not the tool trainings, but to learn what AI does, what AI can't do, and how AI can use it in my profession, not all the technology. And secondly, I totally agree again, we need to be the decision makers in this. And for that, we need to dismiss all the arguments about which are comparing AI and human. Is AI biased? No, AI is not biased. The person who builds AI is. Is ChatGPT biased? No, Sam Altman and all the shareholders are biased. If DeepSeek is politically biased, no, not DeepSeek. There is a person behind that. Can we exist with AI? No, I'm not existing with my dishwasher. These are just machines. I mean, I think AI is not the bad guy. The bad guy is the bad guy should be, also to answer your comments, should be the thing that we need to keep in mind.
I feel like I'm going to be repeating a few of the themes that you brought up, so I wouldn't go quite there. But I want to remind many of us, similar to Burçin, I'm in that phase of my life. I thought I had done the battles for representation 30 years ago. I was an engineer. I was 5% of the class was women. Went into MBA, it doubled. 10% of the class were women. So I thought I was fighting all those battles, so I don't have to fight battles anymore. I'll share just one example of this importance of us learning, this continuous learning, but also representation. Us hiring data scientists is very important. Us hiring young talent who are women of different nationalities, different skin colors. How many of us know that the facial recognition that Apple iPhones first put in didn't work for brown skins in the night, didn't work for dark skins in the night? They couldn't open up their phones. And this existed for over 6 months, and then it changed. It had to be represented appropriately. So know that powerful tools have been coming our way thanks to technology unlock that we started seeing in the 90s, late 80s and 90s. We have to be a part of it. Our children have to be a part of it. I used to be a STEM advocate. Now I'm a technology advocate because it goes way beyond STEM. Advocate, fight. The fight is not done, and it'll probably be there long after I'm gone.
Thank you. Thank you,
Just wanna say,
everyone.
I'm like Sudesh, also from Australia, so I did the 24-hour trip here too.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, the panel, for such a great job.